Alright, my name is Ryan Caldwell, and this is a presentation for the Adobe Connect 8. And what we're going to do is have a look at some of the affordances that it provides educators in a distance education environment. This particular video is going to be dealing with synchronized broadcast learning online. So my objective here today in this little presentation is to show you some of the features about how to share as an instructor to your students online in sort of that dynamic synchronized environment. So to get started, I've set up the screen, and you should be seeing a screen with all sorts of pods on it. And I'm going to be looking specifically at the first 4 pods. That's this pod shared 4, and the whiteboard shared 5, and share. So I've got these pre-set up. So as an instructor, before I have an online class, what I would do is set up these pods before the class so that all I have to do is just open them and manage them. You don't want to go in and start setting up shares during your class. It starts a lot of screen flickering and it confuses your learners. So before the class, set these up, and then it's as simple as just clicking on the top right corner of the share and selecting to maximize, for example. All right, so to have a look at how to add these pods, I'm just going to show you in the pull down menu at the top here. You would go in here under share, and you could just simply click a new share. So you can see here I've got 4 shares, and they're all on my screen with check marks here. And you can see here that this is the 4 right here. So in the center of the screen, it says share my screen. This is the first option. And when you select that, you come up with an option, share my screen, share a document, or share a whiteboard. So it looks like there's 3 different types. Under share my screen, what happens is it comes up with a dialog box, and you might not be able to see this, and it displays 3 options. It says, do you want to share it your desktop, an application, or a window? So this example, I'm going to start off with showing you my desktop. So when I select share my desktop and I select share, what will happen is my entire desktop was going to be pushed into this little tiny shared window, which is not good for students to be looking at. So what you can do here is there's an option for full screen. So when I click on full screen, what should happen, and it might take a little bit of time for this video to catch up, is to start looking at my entire screen. So hopefully what you're seeing now is my entire screen. Just double check if that worked, maximize it, and hopefully what you're seeing now is my screen. So if I open up any of the programs and I was in a live synchronized class, I could talk to my class and go through whatever you see on my screen is what's broadcast to the students. So something you have to be careful with doing this is that if you're working on your home computer and everything that's on your screen is going to be broadcast. So you have to make sure that you don't have any programs or student marks or any confidential information on your screen, because that's going to be broadcast to the students. All right, so let me just minimize that. That's a sample of the sharing out the whole screen. Now let's have a look at sharing out just one particular application. So another option here is you can go into the, I'll go in here to share 5 and go down to where it says share my screen again. I find it a little more effective when you click on just an application, and you can select just one particular application. So what you should see now is that I'm sharing, for example, my paint program. And if I just maximize the screen here, just takes a little bit of time to set this up. That's why one good thing about this is that you need a little bit of practice. So maximize the screen again, open up Paint, and hopefully you'll see my paint program now. So this is a sample of how you can share out one particular program, and I'm just using the paint program as an example, but you could use a word processor, you could do something like PowerPoint and broadcast a presentation, for example. So that's probably a preferred method rather than using the entire screen. This way you're in more control. All right, the next example is in sharing in this synchronized broadcast environment is the whiteboard. And in this case, you can see here there's a little whiteboard. It's like a whiteboard in your classroom with some basic tools. So you've got tools here that you can use for drawing. And I wouldn't use it myself for freehand. As you can see here, if I'm trying to do lesson, it's pretty bad. I think I was drinking or something. But so if you want to type text out, there's a text tool that you can type out and resize and scale and that sort of thing. But it's still pretty limited on what you can do. There are some different symbols you can put in as well. So I'm going to go to full screen here just to exaggerate this a little bit and just demonstrate this. So you can see here, this is the text, these are objects, this is freehand, and you do have an option here for text for font. Not sure where it went there. There we go, up here at the top. So you can select. So it's not the most friendly tool to use. I guess it takes a little bit of practice to get this to work. All right, so I'm going to go back, and that's the whiteboard share tool. Now let's move down to the last option, and that is sharing out a document. Now what's nice about this is that you can preload documents in a PDF format that you want to share with your class. And so for example, and this is where I've used this myself, is you can load the PDF documents into your screen, into your system, and then just bring them up for review. So for example, this is a checklist for our particular class, and we could go through it together and explain or ask it allows students to ask any questions at the time. You can see here, you got a little tool here for checking off as you go through and explain things. And there's another tool here to allow you to highlight what you're talking about, to focus the learner's attention on specifics. So when you're doing a broadcast, sometimes learners can wander off, and these tools can help keep them focused. So as you're explaining something, you could use this box tool to go through and explain where you're at. All right, so that's a little demonstration about sharing out a document. So let me go back into a restored view. So in summary, the synchronized broadcasting tools, which is I'm going to use in this example, is your shared options with your learners. Now Adobe Connect has a lot of other options which we'll talk about in other videos or during the class. So these are the 3 or the 4 different shared features, and I find myself, I've used a couple of these more than the others. I don't think everyone uses all of these features, but try them out and see how they fit into your distance education learning. All right, thanks very much. We'll see you in the next video.